Welcome back, everyone, to the Queen of TV channel. Let's get into three quick things before we continue on with our intro. First of all, there will be profanity and cussing in this, so if this is not your cup of tea, please refrain from watching these videos and being on this channel. Second of the very all, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and to watch the video to the very end. Third, yes, I'll be giving my absolute honest opinion. This is not my first time watching any of this content. So, I'll also be giving my honest opinion about the show as a whole. Without further ado, welcome everyone. I'm the host herself, the Queen. And all of you watching this are the prince and princesses. You're either a subscriber or you are a person that is just viewing the content. Anyway, welcome to the Royal Channel. Without further ado, let's jump to the episode. We are talking about H2O Season 1, Episode 3. Well, I forgot the name. At least you know what the episode is. Apparently, we start our episode with Cleo and her family. We meet her mother and father. We also met Emma's mother and father in the previous episode, but I won't be mentioning the parents so much because they really don't do anything in the first season. So, Cleo's father is watching a shark film with his wife and Cleo's little sister, Kim. Cleo has Kim pulled to the side and brings up the fact that Kim has not started on the dishes yet. Kim decides to charge Cleo extra $5 because Cleo has Kim always doing her chores. Specifically, her chores has anything to do with water because we know she can't touch it. She's a mermaid. Well, she agrees to the terms after some back and forth between her and Kim, and she eventually gives in, give Kim the $10 and moves on. Cleo is very disgusted that her father is actually enjoying watching a shark on TV actually rip people to bits. Why Dom is deciding to watch this with the youngest child who happens to be 11 years old. I guess he feels she's more mature than what he's letting on. Other than that, Cleo explains her disgust and walks off. We head into the next scene where we see Emma and Rikki having a race where they're deciding who is the fastest because they're having a grand old time as mermaids, enjoying their best life. Cleo, however, is not. Rikki and Emma meet Lewis at school and they tell him all about it. Lewis, getting so excited, tries to tell Cleo. Cleo at first asks what they're talking about, and when they bring up the mermaid stuff, she completely shuts it down and talks about homework. They want her to talk about it and not put it off, and we'll get to that when I give my honest review on it. But other than that, the conversation is dropped and Cleo leaves. Well, Cleo ends up running into Byron. Cleo obviously is very upset. She is sick and tired of the talks about being a mermaid. So when Byron brings up, being in the water, he's not talking about her going swimming. He's talking about the sea turtles. But Cleo misunderstands and snaps at him. When he explains himself, she is very apologetic. He tells her that the sea turtles are in danger because the turtles keep getting captured in nets. Now we do see Emma and Rikki go out swimming again where they notice that a sea turtle actually got caught in a net and they rescue it. simply by cutting the net, but that is later on in the episode. They assume that it's Cleo's dad that is doing it. Apparently, this is not the first time this happened actually before where they had to help a sea turtle, which is why it leads us into the fight between Cleo and Rikki. When Cleo meets Rikki, Emma, and Lewis again, they bring up the mermaid stuff again. Cleo obviously gets upset because that is something that she does not deem important for them to constantly keep talking about. She brings the fact that the sea turtles are way more important than them talking about being mermaids. Well, Rikki apparently gets all defensive and has the audacity to sit there and tell Cleo that she is a hypocrite and shames her for not being okay with being a mermaid all the time, and tells her that it was her father's boat that was catching turtles in the net. Obviously, Cleo stands by her father, says that that is not true. Rikki apparently lets her know she might as well face facts, and Cleo walks off. Shockingly enough, Cleo still talks to them, but Cleo does go to confront her dad, and he says that he does everything by the book, so he has no idea what she's talking about, and he would never do that. They drop the conversation. So after that conversation has happened, she has another conversation with Emma and Rikki where, like I had mentioned, they both had to save another sea turtle and cut the net with a knife they took off of the boat. Apparently, because they did not see nobody's face and they saw the boat, they thought it was okay to just tell Cleo this without investigating first and at least going to Cleo's dad with the information that they seen this happen, that they were there. They could have easily said they were scuba diving. They didn't have to literally say they were mermaids. Well, Cleo ends up believing them this time because they actually saw his boat, which, I mean, it makes sense to me that Emma would know that it was his boat, but I don't know how Rikki would be sure that it's his boat, but she too says yes, it was his boat. Well, Cleo is very upset and confronts her dad again. Yet again, he denies it, and as a result, Cleo is very disappointed in him and she becomes very depressed. She isolates herself from everybody else and spends a lot of time in the bathtub. Lewis obviously feels bad for Cleo and does try to comfort Cleo in this episode, but he can't get her out of this depression phase. He tries to tell her that she is an amazing person, but yet again she misdirects it and thinks that he's meaning she's an amazing person so she can handle being a mermaid, and brings about about her powers. Well, Lewis, after she has already walked off, says that he wasn't talking about her powers. Cleo ends up actually just hanging by herself. She's not hanging out with Emma. She's not hanging out with Cleo. Well, because of the whole incident with the net, Emma and Rikki might actually have learned a lesson. They had spent this whole episode thinking that Cleo was being ridiculous about the mermaid stuff not being something to just be all goofy about and make fun of and have a habit of just going out having a good time, because there is a consequence to their actions. Because they cut this net, they got the whole entire seaport thinking that there is a damn shark. How on earth they came to that conclusion is beyond me. So Rikki thinks it's so stupid and dumb that they're all be acting crazy about a possible shark being in the water. Apparently, they meet somebody by the name of Eddie. Now, Eddie is a worker of Dom's. He also has another worker named Jonah. We find out in this episode that it is Eddie that is driving the boats and the one catching the turtles. When Dom had gotten accused by Cleo, he brought up the item about the net, that it was used to catch a sea turtle. Jonah said that after the shark attack, him not realizing it was actually Rikki, he threw the net away. Now he threatens Jonah to keep quiet about it. So it is Eddie that the girls talk to, and he lets them know with a giant hook in their face, mind you, that they're going to catch that shark. Rikki still thinks that this is a good idea for them to go swimming. But Emma's like, absolutely no way. There's way too many fishermen. They are grounded. Not really taking serious to the fact that they have caused at least pandemonium for so many innocent sharks that are going to get killed because they were too busy having fun in games. I get it. They was not there, that sea turtle would have probably died. But they should have told Cleo's dad about the net, because we finally found out the truth at the very end. After Cleo has spent so much time being depressed, Cleo goes in the kitchen where her dad tells her that he will be working late because he'll be covering for a worker that is out sick, and that he will be using a different boat somewhere else along the coast. Apparently, he will not be using his boat. His boat will be used by his other two workers. Now, Cleo has a light bulb idea go off in her head and ask her dad about who was driving his boat the last time. He admits that it was not him, that it was actually Eddie, who he trusts and has been having his boat this entire time. Cleo realizes that Rikki and Emma got it wrong, especially Rikki, and that it was actually Eddie that did it. Cleo tries to go do the right thing and save the turtles and hopefully clear her daddy's name by simply using her mermaid powers for good, not just to goof around and have fun, but to do something that's actually meaningful. She jumps in the water. She also instructs Lewis to go tell the girls. Now, he's skeptical at first, but right after she jumps in, he realizes he has no choice. Now, he does make it to Emma's, but he is completely out of breath, and he is trying to explain to them what was going on. But like I said, he can't breathe. So Rikki is like trying to egg him on to like, come on out with it, Lewis. And he brings the fact that Cleo was inside of the water. Rikki, not reading the room, says, thank God she's finally in the water. Lewis is like, absolutely not. This is bad. So he has to take them where Cleo was. Meanwhile, once Cleo had gotten to the water, she was frantically trying to get to the top until she realized that she's not actually sinking. This proves to me that not only does Cleo have a phobia to water, but it is due to the fact because she never learned how to swim. She gets all caught up in what amazing things come with her being a mermaid, like being able to hold her breath in the water and swim for a long time, that she does not pick up on a sense of danger. Dom's boat picks up the fact that there is something large and fast swimming in the water, because Jonah and Eddie can see it on the radar. Jonah can also see sea turtles out there and tries to tell Eddie not to swim here. He's like, mind your business or get fired. So Cleo ends up getting caught in the net after she notices a sea turtle and reacts too late, and she's trapped. Luckily for her, Emma and Rikki do show up, and while Rikki is trying to get her out of the net, Emma, underwater, freezes the machine that's pulling the net up. Now, once they free Cleo, Cleo apparently tells them that they are right, and that before she passed out, she counted that she was down inside the water for 16 and a half minutes. They all get out of harm's way because if they don't leave, they're going to be looking around wondering what happened to the boat because they could probably clear as they see them. Cleo is able to get home back in time before Eddie and them can get rid of the net to let her dad know what had happened. Now, Dom walks in on Eddie, telling Jonah to get rid of the net. Jonah is happy to tell Dom what's been going on after Eddie is lost for words of trying to explain what net was he talking about. Well, let's just say, long story short, Eddie got fired and probably blacklisted as well. Dom is seen as a hero by his family. His daughter Kim says that he is so tough. Cleo apologizes to her father for ever doubting him and actually thanks her for saving the sea turtles. When he asked her how she knew he was using the wrong nets and, fishing the wrong way, she says she heard a whisper. She gets a phone call from Lewis checking up on her, and she happily tells Lewis that she's okay and that she actually wants to show him something. When her, Emma, and Rikki get to the beach, Lewis shows them a clutch of sea turtle eggs. He covers them back up with the sand, and he is ready for her to show him what they wanted to show him, which is why they're on the beach in the first place. So Cleo goes out, and her, Emma, and Rikki all turn to mermaids right in front of Lewis's eyes. Lewis says that was cool, and we see the ending of them just swimming off. Now that we got the recap out the way, here's my review. This is probably going to be wrong for me to say, but I really don't care. I feel like Rikki was a bitch in this episode. Let me be fair here. I understand the idea that Cleo might be one of those people that get thrown into a situation that they don't want to deal with and they just want to forget like it's not happening instead of facing it. I understand that can be frustrating for people. But here's my thing. Purposely peer pressuring, bullying, and gaslighting someone into accepting something that they just do not feel comfortable with does not win you any brownie points and for sure does not make you a good friend. To be honest, if I'm being fair, ever since they've met Rikki, she hasn't really been what I call a supportive friend. She just expects them to drop everything and just be all gun-ho about being mermaids. I feel like Emma is also starting to be fake because she flipped the switch on everything right after she quit the swim team. Lewis is just there for emotional support. He's not bad in what he's doing at all. He did try to comfort Cleo, and I do feel bad this man has never gotten the fish. But luckily for him, he got the fish on the pier where there was no fishermen anymore because they were too busy looking for the damn poor sharks. Now, I feel bad for Cleo because she was technically forced into accepting to be a mermaid, which makes sense why even until the next season that it took her so long to fully accept the fact that she was a mermaid because she never really got that in season 1, and I feel like that was a total waste on the show. Now, on the topic of Emma and Rikki, they are so damn reckless and selfish. They are too busy going out here mindlessly swimming all day, every day without thinking of the repercussions. That they probably got over 100 sharks possibly killed because of their negligence. They cared more about being mermaids than the dangers of the sea life that they were hurting. Rikki had the nerve to even shame Cleo for caring more about the sea turtles than her actually dealing with her mermaid problems. When what Rikki was defending wasn't as important as these innocent animals possibly being killed off. Instead of using their mermaid powers to just goof around and have fun and do whatever, they need to be using it to help the sea life. And Cleo was the only one in this episode that was willing to do that. It's just it was her first time being a mermaid and she got caught up in that. But luckily she still got what she wanted in the end because she was able to stop Eddie. Lewis is the champion all of this because obviously, like I said, he helped Cleo through the whole situation and he's being supportive. He's not saying that Emma and Rikki is not right. He, for one, is not even picking sides. He's just standing there watching all this unfold. And I'm again feel bad for poor Cleo because she's just being outright bullied, and these two are supposed to be her friends. I know she just met Rikki, but Emma is nobody new to her. Why are you not defending her? Why are you not understanding that something like this is not going to be on Cleo's top list? But other than that, Emma and Rikki got what they wanted. Cleo accepts being a mermaid. This doesn't seem to have worked because when we get to the next episode, Rikki apparently is back to being herself where she's not as mean. And Emma, well, that whole paranoia comes back. I don't know why, but it does. But that's all for today. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I hope you have a wonderful, nice day. If no one has told you this at all today, I'm telling you. I love you. I will see you guys in the next video. And you already know. We'll be back again. Bye.